Hey guys, this is Shane Harder here from Seeking Unemployment. This is the real estate investment show where we learn how to become gainfully unemployed together. Now, today is episode 7 in a series that I've been doing for a while now, where I ask a bunch of different investors the same question to find out what is the way that has to be done a certain way and which things are okay to do any way you want, and you can still be successful. So this is all about market. So some investors like to only invest in one market. Some investors like to invest all over the place. Some investors like to invest in the market that they live in, and some like to invest in markets far from their home. So let's find out how different investors are dealing with what their favorite market is to invest in and why they like to do it that way.
Currently, I really like Oklahoma.
We grew up in Oregon and moved to Kansas City. We acquired 4,000 units in a 13-year period in Kansas City.
Gonna have to say Indianapolis. My personal opinion is Indianapolis is going to be good for quite some time.
Columbus, Ohio is very different than the rest of Ohio, by the way. I'm from Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a good market, but it's not a high growth market. Columbus is a very high growth market. It's happening, and it's still relatively affordable based on, the cash flow that you can get out of properties there. That said, it is very hot. A lot of people have their eyes on Columbus. San Antonio we like because it's a vibrant city already, and it's the job diversification's pretty good. It is an oil dependent economy. The question that I look at is, what is this market going to look like in 20 years? So what's San Antonio going to look like in 20 years versus Salt Lake City, Utah? Or what's Albuquerque going to look like in 20 years compared to Utah or Columbus? And the answer to that is that Albuquerque is a market that we spent a lot of time in and we're very interested in because it's one of the few cities left in the West that's still very affordable, but it's just not a high growth market. And when I look at what Utah is going to look like in 20 years, when we're growing by 30,000 people a year and we've already got a supply and demand issue and the economy is booming, versus a place like Albuquerque, which is known for its crime and et cetera, the difference is night and day. And my thinking has evolved over the last little bit about markets in general. I think there's actually very few that are exciting. A lot of my mentor, Corey Peterson, he has a much different set of requirements for his properties than I do, in that he just goes for cash flow. So he can buy student housing in like Slidell, Louisiana and make it work. And, what's the Missouri, Branson, Missouri. He has properties there and places like that. And all he really cares about is the cash flow, and appreciation is a great thing, but he's not nearly as market dependent as we are. We want, as Neil Bawa says, we want an economic tailwind behind our asset.
Yeah, so favorite markets right now are Houston. For people, if you're looking to flip, the auctions, they take place on the first Tuesday of every month. There's a tax deed auction and a foreclosure auction happening at the same time, same location. The deals there are amazing. And if you're going to flip, that's a great place to buy properties. If you're looking to buy and hold properties, my favorite market is Atlanta right now for a number of reasons. If anybody's interested, I've actually got a masterclass that talks all about Atlanta, how we do what we do, why we do it there. I'd be happy to give it to everybody. We talked about this off camera before, yeah. But imagine you wake up in Manhattan and your rent is, for your one bedroom apartment is $5,000, $6,000 a month, whatever crazy amount it is to live there. If you're not working, if you're not going back to your job, your lifestyle is not sustainable without money coming in for most people.
Right.
If you live in a place like Atlanta is very business friendly. And so they encourage businesses to have offices, and especially head offices there. They give them a lot of tax incentives. So it's head office to Coca-Cola, Turner Broadcasting, Delta Airlines, Home Depot, all these different Georgia Pacific Paper. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I can go on all day as to how many head offices are there. And so if your tenant loses their job at Delta Airlines, because obviously airlines are struggling right now, Coca-Cola is not going to be suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably taking a bit of a hit. Home Depot is definitely not.
Home Depot is doing great right now.
Exactly.
In fact, one of my friends went and worked for them over there in Atlanta right after he finished schools.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are living somewhere and you can't afford the cost of living, what are you going to do? You're going to look for somewhere cheaper. Where, like I said, the homes that I sell that are already fixed up start at $70,000. In a place like New York or California or anywhere in Canada, that's not even a down payment on a house, let alone you can't buy a single family home for that kind of money.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are going to leave where they're living and they're going to look for more economical places to live, to raise their kids. You know, if you lost your job, even if you were if you were a CEO in Atlanta and you lost your job, you could, as long, I mean, depending on what your mortgage payment is, you could potentially go be a bartender and at least be able to afford, you might have to downgrade to a cheaper home, but you can afford to survive being a bartender. If you live in New York, I don't know how people do it. So people are going to be looking for value. People are going to look for lowering their cost of living. So I love Atlanta even before this happened for that reason. Also, because of the return on investment, because of the appreciation. The homes are too cheap there for how good the economy is. Yeah. And so it's an opportunity. So that answers the first half of your question. The second half is, are we looking at other markets? For me, one of the things I do differently than most investors invest close to home, and they just keep investing close to home. So let's say I was in Salt Lake City where you are, and I bought a home for cheap X number of years ago, back in the good old days, and I sell it now. So I bought low and I sold high. Well, if I buy another property, I sold high, but now I've got to buy high. One of the things I do differently is I get into a market when it makes sense. I ride that market up. When Atlanta doesn't make sense anymore, when those numbers get ridiculous, I'm going to sell my properties. I'm going to take that money and I'm going to go invest in another market that's lagging behind, but has a lot of potential to move up. And so I'm not married to any market. I don't live in Atlanta. I don't promote it because I live there. But I invest where it makes the most sense. In order to do that, though, you have to have teams. And that's why I sell my turnkey properties, because there's people that live in New York and California and Canada and all over the world where they live in places where the return on investment is too low. The numbers don't make any sense. And it gives them an opportunity to invest in a market that makes sense and have a team already on the ground. And I eat my own cooking. So they're managing my property. So if the team's not doing a good job for you, they're also not doing a good job for me, and I'm going to get rid of them. And replace them. And the other thing I'm going to do that I do for myself and my clients is, like I said, when it doesn't make sense, I'm going to move my money. I'm going to sell my homes, move my money when people are fighting over properties. And I also call up my clients and say, listen, I'm selling my homes in Atlanta. I'm moving my money to wherever that next market happens to be. I don't know what it is because you're going to ask me that. I don't know what it is yet, because a lot can change very, very quickly post-COVID, of course. And I'm going to help. My goal isn't to help people buy a property or two. My goal is to work with them throughout our lifetimes to help build their portfolio. But they don't have to become the experts. I can tell you where the next opportunity is. I can help. I will build the team. You won't have to build any teams. I'm going to do all the work for you, so you can go and do whatever it is that you're passionate about. So yes, we're always looking at new markets, but we don't jump the gun and leave before we don't get in too late, and we don't leave too early. You have to time that.
All right, guys, that wraps up this video. If you'd like to connect with us and partner on some multifamily deals, click on the link below and we can send you all the info on how to get started there. If you'd like to check out the videos from the beginning of this playlist, click on this link right here. To check out the link that Google wants you to watch, click on this link right here. And lastly, if you want to make sure you see the future videos that we'll be posting in the same series, click on this subscribe link right here. You'll be all set to go. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.